We are. Today is Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. I am Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres in lovely Marion, Michigan. Welcome. Welcome. Tonight is our Anyone Can Farm Experience live chat. And I put out the word this morning on the Baker's Green Acres page. And it seems to me like on the Baker's Green Acres page, when I put stuff out, it gets shared everywhere amongst, the areas that we operate on. So it'd be my page, the Mark Baker page on Facebook. It'd be the Anyone Can Farm Experience on YouTube. The tribe, the Facebook tribe page, Anyone Can Farm Tribe. Hello, Belva. And I put it out there and I said, hey, what do you guys want to talk about tonight? What do you want to talk about? And I didn't get any response. A whole bunch of people saw it, but nobody really responded to anything. But I have noticed that I can't even find my own posts. So I must have said something, and it could be I made a comment. Our federal representative, Miss Talita Rashid. Is that Talita Rashid? Rashida Tlaib. She got censured by her colleagues in the House of Representatives. And I said, well, I don't know why they went to all that trouble. They should have just turned her water off. And if Covey's listening tonight, he'll get a bang out of that, because when he first moved into the apartment next door, there was no water over there. And so me and him actually ran the water over there. We ran a PVC pipe over it. And I kept saying to him, you get in line, buddy, or I'm going to just shut your water off. And so it's kind of funny how that, we see that happening in several places in the world. If people don't play nice, we'll shut their water off. And I was kind of kidding about that. So maybe I got censured because of that. I understand we have freedom of speech, but I don't own this platform, and the people that do own it don't like humor like that, so they can just shut you off. So maybe they did. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter that much to me. I've seen other YouTubers, and I never really set out to be a YouTuber, get pretty excited when they believe they're being shadow banned or kind of throttled, something like that. I kind of feel like that had happened to me ever since Jump. It always felt like that. Because way back, I would make a video and it would get 1,000 views before sundown, and I just thought, well, that's just the way it is. But now you get 23 views, 15 views. That's just the way it is. And I don't know whether the world has just gotten sick of me and turned me off, or I'm being shadow banned or whatever. I don't really know. And I really don't care. And that's kind of I care, but that's not the focus of this operation. And that's what Jill thought that we ought to talk about tonight. Because I didn't get any input from the world on what you guys want to talk about. Maybe you didn't see it, though. So if you want to input now, hey, okay. Dion's with us, Inga's with us, Keith's with us, and Belva's with us. All right. But she said that a good topic for tonight would be keeping it real. Keeping it real. And I said, well, what exactly do you mean by that? And she said, well, she's almost throwing my own words back at me, but I've always had kind of a problem with the whole internet thing, in some ways. Like my motivation when this started, this whole thing, me sitting down in front of a camera to talk to people that are not here, like at the table, uh, all started when the feral swine thing happened, and I was being pummeled by what I thought were powerful um, government agencies. Because if you never dealt with them before, you just think that government is powerful, you know. And so when that whole thing happened, what it was I was told by the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Natural Resources that I had to depopulate my animals, my Mangalitsa pigs, by a certain day, or face up to $10,000 in fines per animal and incarceration and all this other stuff. So they made what I look at now, having gone through it, as threats that they can't back up, which to me is really punk. Once you do that, when you make a threat that you can't back up, I just think you're a punk. And to me, it's I've totally lost respect for the organizations, both of them, actually. Department of Natural Resources, very much so. I mean, the way they conduct themselves out here in the field, and then their actual authority, I just think that they're punks. And I don't think they belong in the same class as the state police at all. At all. I know they do some of the same training and stuff, but state police are generally uh, trained to be professionals and respectful of um, their employers. Not so much with the DNR. They're not, and they're definitely not pros. And I'm not talking about all of them. I'm sure there's some out there that are decent individuals, but the ones that we've dealt with so far mostly were way off. As far as um, dealing with the public as a professional. They just did not have that. And so anyway, we just think they were the ones that came out with the feral swine thing, and I just think that they're punks. And yeah, they're probably gonna listen to me and say, "Oh yeah, we'll show you." All right, well, okay, but anyway, the whole thing started of going in front of the camera back then. And I sat down in front of the camera, and it was a camera. This is before I had a phone. I didn't have a phone then. I didn't have a cell phone. We just had the phone in the house. I think it had an antenna on it. Yeah, it was a cordless phone. And then my son Sam uploaded it. I didn't have a clue how to do that. He did it, and I just spoke my mind what was happening, and boom, it got 100,000 views, and it caused like outrage amongst the public. And anyway, it got a lot of attention, and from that, I wound up talking to some powerful people that understood that if a state contractor, a state agency, they're not actually state, they're contractors of the governor. If they can say what animal we can have and what one we can't have, well, where does that end? You know, if they say, well, you can't have a tiger, that's probably a bad example. If they say you can't have a pig because we say so, and their reasoning is because it could get away and it could hurt the environment, could. Um, that puts you in a place where you're they can deem anything uh, detrimental to the environment, and who's to say it isn't? Who's to say that a black and white cow isn't detrimental to the environment? But we need black and white cows, you know. And anyway, on and on it went. It sort of seemed to focus on me because I was the one that said, "Hey, I don't think I understand this." And so then they wanted to crush me because I was asking questions. That's how government likes to work, you know. And anyway, I made that one video, and then I survived telling the DNR, no, I will not, because of YouTube and my ability to go on and say this is what is happening. And then people who would hear the video would call them and say, what the hell? You know, is he telling the truth or not? And they got so tired of fielding phone calls um, that were because I told what was going on. It was outrageous what they were doing. But they have their minions in the media, you know, like M Live and you know, Detroit Free Press and all those guys. You know how journalists are. Like if they carry the storyline and they're good little boys, they get a star on their forehead, you know. So they write whatever the powers that shouldn't be um, want them to. But, you know, because of making videos, and that was, I think, the beginning of this. There's an onslaught now of all these, what we would call citizen journalists. And I guess I'm a journalist. I guess I am because I share with the public what I'm doing. And, but it all started with you know, kind of a whistleblower type thing. Hey, this is what these jerks are doing, you know. And they got hammered down into the dirt. They really got hammered, and I honestly don't think that they have recovered. I mean, people for a long time had somewhat of a sense of respect for Department of Agriculture because you thought that, well, these are scientists, you know. But dealing with them, uh, if that's the scientific community, I don't want any of it because there was a lot of people who didn't know if they were a boy or a girl, if you know what I mean. And this is a long time ago where it wasn't posh to not know if you're a boy or a girl. Back then it was like, what, how are they getting away with this? You know, they work for the state, they're contractors for the state, and they're allowed to present themselves like that. Totally unprofessional. And you know, the ones that I dealt with here, wow, they would come on and think that, well, this guy's just a dumb farmer. And so they try to, what we would say, baffle me with their bullshit. They would say, use big words, and they would talk about things that were way over my head because they had sat in a classroom at a college, right? Like none of us ever did that, right? And I would just kind of, okay, okay, okay. And I would never call them on their BS. But all I could think of is these people are weenies. They are weenies. Every last one of them was. And when we finally started to catch on to them, yeah. So I that's where it all began. And then it is morphed. And that was a long time ago. That was 10 years ago. And it's morphed into now you've got all these homesteading channels. We got done with that lawsuit, so there was no sense in throwing stones at the DNR or the Department of Agriculture. I mean, I do now just for fun. It doesn't matter, you know. Um, but we kept going, making videos because I still had things to say. I had my farm operation here that almost was destroyed by these two agencies, almost. And I almost quit. As a matter of fact, one day I said, that's it. I've had enough. Somebody's going to get hurt or killed here, you know, because these guys are so unprofessional, you know. And I think that's really what uh, got things. I think that's what got the state police involved because the Department of Ag people, they're very fragile little people, and they were afraid to come here because he's violent. He might be violent, because I said that. And so then they started always bringing the state police with them. And I have a feeling the state police went back and said, these people are unhinged. This kid, this guy retires from the military, honorably discharged. No priors, no nothing, just want to farm. And I have these agencies breathing down my neck because my pigs could go feral, not because they have, but they could. I never had a pig get away that we didn't recover. Anyway, that's where it all began, and I don't want to rehash all of that. Although I've seen a couple of articles coming out from obscure radio state or TV stations that state 25% of the counties in the state of Michigan have had somebody that's reported seeing a feral pig. That's funny, isn't it? It's just so funny. So one person in a county can see a feral pig and it gets documented as gospel, right? So maybe they're going to try it again. I don't know. I reposted it because I thought it was kind of comical. Because now it's like a third party. It's a private company that has gathered all this stuff, and so maybe they're a little tougher or a little less screwed up than the Department of Agriculture. I don't know. Maybe they're laying a trap for me or something. Anywho, that's where it began, and then it morphed into, hey, we just started sharing I did, and this is just my nature. My favorite thing to do in elementary school was Friday because it was show and tell. Show and tell. You get to get up in front of the class and show something, and then tell about it. And usually the teacher would say, "Okay, Mark, that's enough. It's time for you to sit down." So if I'm into something, I like to show it. I like to turn other people on so they can get a kick out of it too. Yeah. And I still like doing that. So Jill has said to me, "What is this that we are doing?" Because we've gone through a lot of different phases of our existence here. We started off as we were going to be like commercial farmers, and then we realized that that our friends at the Department of Agriculture actually they kind of lump you in with this system that they control, and you're destined to fail because you can't really keep up with the massive operations that are getting subsidies, like free money all the time, because they're so massive. So it's probably so they can set up Bible studies for their illegal aliens that are working for them. That's good stuff. But we could never keep up with them. But yet we were still partnering with the Department of Agriculture. So anyway, we went through all that, and then we learned what the deal was with the Department of Agriculture and how it's mostly an offer. They offer you a license agreement, and you can take it or you can leave it. And if you're smart, you leave it, and they'll say, "Yeah, but you can't sell your products to restaurants." And you should be saying, "Well, I don't want to sell my products to restaurants," because if you do, you have to sell at wholesale prices, which is like 20 to 30% less. I think right around there. And then because they have to mark it up. So I can't produce what I'm producing for that amount of reduced profit. I can't make it on that. I mean, well, I'm not willing to make it on that. And you'd say, "Well, yeah, but you can sell more through that store." Yeah, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't work. Anyway, let's see who's with us. The cleric's with us, right on. I'm going to go back and read some of these, but let me just finish my rant. So they offer you this partnership, but you shouldn't partner with them. And because if you don't partner with them and you don't make that agreement, then you are protected from them by the US Constitution. And I know what I'm talking about. One of the things that really saved our bacon in the feral swine case, as it was come to be known, was the Fifth Amendment. And the Fifth Amendment says that my life, my liberty, and my property, which is also my process, is protected under the due process of law. And these agencies like to say, because we friggin' say so. That's what they like to do. And they like to letters from lawyers with big dollar numbers on it that they're going to take away from you and all that stuff. And we, the public, you get kind of spooked and you don't really know who to talk to. So you hire somebody. You hire a professional guy that knows. You hire a lawyer. And the lawyer's like, well, yeah, but I get $200 per hour. So this could take a while. And so it's in the lawyer's best interest to kind of keep that Fifth Amendment on the back shelf. Well, let's talk about other things here for a while. Could they do it? They could. They could. You could wind up in jail, but you could also sue them for a lot of money. And so they play that game with you, and all the while you're paying them an hourly rate. So they don't want to get it over with quick by saying to you, well, you're actually protected by the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, so you should tell them to go to hell. They won't do that, right? It took me years to figure out that my lawyers were actually keeping something from me. And when I would ask them, well, what about, don't I have constitutional? Well, let's not talk about that. And they would divert me constantly. And after a while, it was a feeling that I would get that I was being fibbed to. And of course, they're protecting their hourly rate, so why wouldn't they? They're in it to make a buck too. So they're not going to tell you, there's an easy way on this. So anyway, that's where it began, to make a long story short. And then we started just sharing the homesteading things. And around me, it seems like, now that's a long time ago. That's a long time ago. I'm getting to be geezer status here. When the feral swine thing happened, that was in 2011. So I would have been probably 50 then, and I'm 63 now. So since then, I've been making videos, just show and tell videos. And I'm usually not creating a process to make a video. I'm doing the process because it's essential to this farm operation. And all of a sudden I say, hey, this is, and I whip up, and that's the point. That's what I'm. Says my connection has been lost. I don't know. We back on? We back on? Well, anyway, so around me, there has been like multiple. Okay, thank you, JK. There's been multiple channels pop up, and I've mentioned those channels to you on here of stuff that I've picked up from them. There was even one guy that's pretty notable that has come on and commented on here one time. It was Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. And, I don't watch too many of those channels because I am more interested in somebody who is doing the thing, doing this homesteading thing, and has innovative new ways to do things. And some of these shows, and I'm not throwing stones at anybody. I'm really not. There's all kinds of stuff out there. It's just I'm trying to give you an edge, is what I'm trying to do here. Because this is what Jill said. She said you can do this. You can give them the edge. And the edge is, as I have said over and over, if you do the thing, you will have the power. I didn't make it up. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I don't know where he got it. Who knows? He might have plagiarized it from Snoop Doggy Dogg or somebody. But do the thing and you will have the power. If you don't do the thing, you will surely not have the power. If you do not do the thing, you will surely not have the power. So what's the thing? The thing in this case is homesteading. Homesteading, pretty loosely, is growing stuff, making stuff, and fixing stuff. So it's a lot bigger than that. Hey, Emily's with us. Hey, what sign are you, by the way, Emily? She asked me the other day, what sign are you? I haven't heard that in a long time. I'm an Aries, by the way. I think April's going to be a big month. I think we're going to have an eclipse that month. Anyway, there's supposed to be a lot of ethereal things going on. I heard one of the channels that I listen to sometimes said that. Yeah, I don't know about all that stuff, but I don't know. Maybe they're right. So Emerson said, "Do the thing, and you will have the power." All right. So the power is, if I wanted to talk about butchering beef on this broadcast right here, well, I do it. I do it enough to say that I'm proficient at it enough that I can talk about it up to the proficiency that I have. But let's say that I had never done it, and I wanted to talk about butchering beef, and I want to just, I need to create some content. I got to have some clicks. I got to have some views and all that stuff. Like, I don't make any money off of YouTube, not to shake a stick at. I really don't know, but it's like $40 a month, and I don't even look at it, so I don't even know. I really don't know what happens to that money. Jill takes care of all that. But this is not I didn't create a farm so I would have content to take to YouTube and have a homesteading. That's not how it worked in my case. I was homesteading, and then I started sharing what I was doing, and all of a sudden we had the anyone can farm thing. The whole anyone can farm thing came from, it was a left-handed jab at Department of Natural Resources, because what their goal was with the feral swine thing. Follow me on this one, because they're going to do this again. This is how they do it. This is what they do. They create a problem, and then they get a reaction to it. So they'll get their buddies in the media. A problem, feral swine. We had a feral swine that stole a bus with a bunch of kids on it and then lit it on fire. And then reaction, they take it to their buddies in the media, and their buddies in the media will, whoa, this is terrible. And then the weak of mind will hear about it, and they'll say, well, that's terrible. And then right about that time, the DNR will come in with, we have a solution, though. Problem, reaction, solution, right? Problem, reaction, solution. It's the oldest trick in the book. Homesteading channels do it too, I've noticed. The world's going to end. Buy this product here. So when the world comes to the end, you'll be okay. You've got a generator. You'll be fine. You know, um, they'll do it again with the feral swine. I should find this story. It looks like they're flying a test balloon. But let's see. If you're if you're going to embark on this journey, right, of homesteading, which I don't think is I'll get it done by next Tuesday. I'll get it done by next year at this time. Well, I'd like to be done with my homestead by no, I don't want to be dogmatic and say this is how it's done. I know how it's done, but I'm just telling you this is how it's worked for me, right? As I have gone along, it's a long road. It's a journey. It's a little worrisome using that word because it's in the tree hugger realm, but enjoy your journey. But it's a journey. It's going out into something that you don't know anything about and making discoveries all the time. I have made some tremendous discoveries. Not that I'm going to get a Nobel Peace Prize, although I may at some point. But for me, they're great. They're great discoveries. All of a sudden I come across something that I didn't know before, and I do it this way. Oh, and that works pretty good. And then what do you know? That equates. You can extrapolate it out to this process, and you start to know a lot more stuff, right? So how do I advise? Uh, how do I advise you on keeping it real? Keeping it real. Bob the Knob. Hope the stead is rocking. Love your content. Don't stop drinking. Don't stop drinking. I don't always do stupid things when I'm drinking, but all the stupid things that I've done, I was drinking at the time. I heard Bill O'Reilly say that. Yeah, me and Bill, we go way back. So how do I advise on keeping it real? Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am noticing that not only are there oodles of homesteading channels that are exploding. Good. That's a good thing. You can learn some really cool things. But I am noticing that there are leverage points that people are able to use, and all of the sudden you can't get away from them, Like just this week, there's 2 or 3 or 4 things that keep coming up on my Facebook feed, and I can't stop. I can't get rid of them. And it's sort of seems like people are trying to capitalize on the homesteading movement, And when I look into them, a lot of them are not even homesteaders, they're aggregators of information. And it they bother me somewhat because I'm thinking, what if a person who wants to get into homesteading comes to this? Like, there's no roadmap, there's no guideposts. They don't seem to be what's the word I'm looking for? They're not very mentoring, right? And but there's a lot of content there, and darn it all, we got to have this magazine out by the end of the month, so fill it with content. It's that type of thing. Or some of the homesteaders that somehow their channels exploded, and all of a sudden they came into a hoop of cash from YouTube. I understand if you get 100,000 views on a, that's worth a lot of money, and they come into a hoop of cash, and then they got to keep it going, so they're kind of like white knuckling out the content. And instead of content on homesteading, it seems to be content on the Vigoros getting ready to hit the prop blades here, and you really should buy silver, or you really should buy this freeze dried food, or this and that and the other thing. I don't know if I'm being clear now, and I'm trying to have a defining line here, and I'm not trying to say them bad, me good. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to advise you on the nuances here of what is going to benefit you the most. All right, because I've told you for a long time, I can't really listen to too many of these homesteading channels, because a lot of times it's a lot of their philosophy about things. And, I want to learn new ways of doing things. And I get bored really quick when they don't have that. So for the wannabe homesteader, the person that might be following my channel, or me, I would say you need to be your own best mentor. You need to look at yourself objectively, like from above, and say, what information do I want this person to have? Does this person need to know about every crisis that's happening? Oh, shipping containers are piling up in Oklahoma. You don't need to know that. That's not going to help you be a homesteader. What you need to know is, how do you care for your tools? Hey, there's a guy, Wrangler Star, right? I could hang out with him. I listen to him because he'll tell you, this is how you take care of the handle of a new tool that you bought. Well, you sand it down and then you put this oil on it. And I've actually done that. He has helped me out a lot, and that's why he's got a big channel. And I don't think he's stressing for content. I mean, remember at one time he said that he was tired of all the stuff that he had, and he really wanted to simplify his life and have less stuff, right? And I can relate to that. I mean, your stuff kind of winds up owning you. I like to keep I like being a minimalist, actually. At some point, I would like it to where I just have uniforms that I wear. And they all go out to be cleaned, and then I can just put a new one on every day, just like it was when I was in the service. But I didn't put a new one on every day. Yeah. So anyway, hey, Bob the Knob is saying, I'm the best homestead channel. All right. Okay. Oh, I get you, Bob. Cheers. Yeah, I mean, cheers. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, is you need to be looking at. Now, I got to be careful here, because I don't want to throw any stones at anybody. People have their thing. And like, there's this one guy that comes up on my feed all the time. It's homesteading and survival something. And the guy's got a long beard, and he's walking through the woods with an AR-15 on his chest. And he tells you about what's going on in the news. So he goes through that, and then he tells it to you, which now, unless I want to listen to all the news to get the pertinent events of what are going on, I don't have time for that, nor do I want to. So I do listen to him. His name is Travis. I don't listen to him all the time, because usually he winds up saying, it's time to get your house in order, and time to prioritize and get ready and all that stuff, which I know. And I agree. I totally agree. You need to have your act together right now. Ooh, Brother Zemwald is here. Welcome. And Brittany Pierce. Hey, Brittany, how are you? Hey, Mark and Tribe. Long time no see. Life's been busy. Yeah, with your new baby. No, wait a minute. You guys have a new baby? I don't know if it's you guys, but I know you just killed a cow recently. All right. And Andy, I haven't seen Andy in a long time. So there you go, keeping it real. So how do you do it? Okay, so let's say you decide, oh yeah, that's right. You're expecting. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's like a family. I should know about all this, but boy, it's getting to be a pretty good sized family now. Um, I think that it would be good to make a list of basic homesteading skills, basic tools, basic principles. I mean, I'm working with a guy right now. We're just talking at this point, and I'm kind of did a little mini consult on his place, and has no idea how to build the fences. And I could see how if you don't have an idea how to do that, you might think, well, how about if I get some pallets and I'll tie them together with baling string? It sounds like a good idea, but when your animals get out, then you realize, well, that wasn't a good idea. So some basic skills would be good to take in and then execute and then do it again and do it again and do it again until you become proficient. Now you have done the thing, and what? You have the power. You have the power. There's a lot of power that comes with the ability to build a fence. There was a time in my homesteading career. Yeah, Andy, right. Hit the thumbs up. And Cleric Homestead is waving at me, I think. I don't know. It kind of looks like this. What does that mean? Is that some new thing that I didn't get told about? Becoming proficient, actually proficient in with your tools, with your ability to do the thing. I mean, today, me and my kids were building fences. We've got a big chunk of ground that we've got to get fenced off, and we're fencing it off for cows, cattle. For my beef herd, I've separated my cows. My dairy cows stay up here and get pampered. They have residence in the barn. I have country music playing in there for them and incense going. My beef cows are on the other side of the farm, and they don't even know that each other exists anymore, right? And so my beef cows are going to be uh, forced to forage on land that I have never grazed before. There's not been any animals on that land in at least 20 years that I've been here. Oh, clapping to my words. One of my, yeah, one of my best fans, right? I shouldn't say biggest. Wow, kind of, you know what I mean. Well, I just thought that that's not even a good thing to say either. Yeah, most ardent fans. Are you calling me ardent? um, yeah. So we started on the fencing project Monday. Sunday afternoon, I didn't really want to get into any kind of work. I was kind of taking it easy, but I couldn't help. But I went and fired up the Jeep. I put the trailer behind it. I threw all my fencing tools in it, everything I thought I was going to need. And then I got it ready to go for Monday morning. Couldn't wait to hit it. Got a gate built in the fence line. And today we put in corner posts, and Jill said one of the nicest things that she's ever said to me before, but she said, I'm gonna buy you some barbed wire while I'm in town. How much do you need? And I said, well, I could use 5 spools. And she said, I'll get them for you. Whoa, baby. Way to turn me on. So she got them. 1,300-foot spools. And so tomorrow we're gonna be stringing some barbed wire. It's gonna be great. And once I get that fence built and I turn my beef cows in there, because I have done the thing, the power that I get back is there's really a lot more than you think, right? There's a lot more than you think. Okay, there's 60 acres of ground that no machinery has been on in probably 40, 50 years, right? I'm not kidding. And the grass in there is thick, really thick. And those cows will be in there even after the snow is down. They'll be in there because there's so much forage in there. Your beef cows are going to gain about 2.5 pounds a day, right? So with 60 acres, I can graze a lot more cattle in there. And I do have a plan. As you know, I've just built onto our butcher shop. I put in a high rail, 14-foot rail with, I've got a chain hoist up on it and everything because I plan to butcher a lot more beef. For a long time, I have known that there is a lot of money to be made, a lot of gain. I hate to just say money, but gain. There's a lot of gain to be made when you put cattle on grass. They do the eating, they do the manuring, but they're gaining a couple pounds a day. And then at the end, when December 1st rolls around and you start knocking beef down, that's how they say it in the farm world. You start butchering beef, your own beef, and then selling that. There's a lot of money in beef. I mean, if you've looked at the prices of beef lately, they're commensurate with everything else. But a grass-fed beef is, I mean, it's good stuff. And we raise a lot of pigs here. We raise a lot of chicken, and I I work with a guy that gets milk from us, and he's a big time fisherman, and he brings me these massive trout, and we do a little swapping. So I have real nice fish in the freezer and all that. I can eat whatever I want, but beef, grass-fed beef, for me, for this body, it really works well. It really works well. I have a problem with if I eat bread or a bunch of potatoes or anything like that. I get, I start feeling like, wow, this is what it feels like to be 60. This sucks. It's going to really suck by the time I'm 70. But then, last night we brought, actually, Devin knocked down a couple of beef and I bought one from him because we're out of beef. And we brought it home. It's really good beef, not as good as mine. Our grass is better, and they ran out of grass, and then they had to feed some silage and some haylage and stuff. It's good. It's great. And we brought it home last night, ate some. It really enjoyed it. Had burgers for lunch, really enjoyed them. And my inflammation is gone that quick. I am not kidding. That quick, it's gone. And I just feel like a different person. So, and eating pigs, I can get away with it. I don't have any deleterious effects going on. But I don't sleep as well if I eat a big collar steak, for dinner. I'm not going to sleep good that night. I know it. I'm not. Maybe it's too rich. I'm not sure what it is. Um, but beef is fine. Uh, Chicken seems to be like, I don't know, no effect. It quenches my hunger at the time, and I don't know. Fish, same thing. It seems to be no effect, but beef, huge effect. And if you want to try it, one of the things that I would highly, highly recommend is when you butcher a beef, cut up the bones and then find out how to make beef broth or bone broth, and then get a mug of that going in the morning. And whoa, that is good stuff. I can do that, and it keeps me till about lunch. But anyway, the example of fence building is the one that I'm using. That we've gotten good at it, and now we're proficient at it. I spent a little bit more time today when we were building corner posts to run through it again with my two little boys. That the littlest one is 12, and then Jim is 14, and I think he's taller than me now. I think he is, and I'm 6'4". He's not as heavy as I am, but he's 14. Right? I think he's going to like just keep growing. He's going to be one of these guys. He's got to rip out the front seat of the car and sit in the back seat to drive. Yeah. But I spent more time showing them that today, because you never know. They may want to. Who knows what they'll want to do when it's their time to decide what to do. Like if they want to, um, stay with the farm. Maybe we can acquire more land and graze more cattle and butcher more beef. Maybe that's kind of the direction we're going. I'm building this right now so that it's sort of open ended. Like it depends where we want to go. Like, are the wheels going to fall off society? I don't. I don't know. Things look weird sometimes, but I got to be careful who I listen to, because when I listen to somebody that, oh yeah, is definitely going to fall, the wheels are going to fall off. Here, buy this freeze dried food from me. You got to be careful with that, because I don't know. Maybe it will. I don't know. There's been times when it just didn't look good. But I think in the spirit of keeping it real, right? If you look out there and you say, "Ooh, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. It looks like there could be some unrest in our country. There could be a breakdown in the supply chain." That seems possible. Seems possible to me. Um, I've always thought that. I've seen that in other countries. Other countries are very fragile when it comes to their systems. Their systems can go off, and a lot of times, like in third world countries, you see people, you see systems that are intentionally thrown off, and somebody else will benefit from it, and it's the way that they steal money from the public. Um, we hate to see that in this country, but we do see crises that seem to be concocted, seem very much so, seem to be, and then say, well, we got this product right here that can fix you up. Yeah, we got another one and another one and another one. You need this. You listen to Rachel Maddow, she'll have you taking them all. So when that hits, when you see that and you can say, yes, this is what they are doing, then your combat against that is to rely less on the companies that sponsor those shows. I used to really get into listening to Rush Limbaugh, right? And other shows like that. And it would really like, wow, this is going on. You wouldn't know this is going on, but I listen to Rush, so I know. And it would, I became kind of a news junkie. And then the Sunday morning shows, right? like Meet the Press and whatever else was on. But I used to hit those shows religiously, and now looking back on those, who sponsored those shows? Archer Daniels Midland. That is industrial agriculture at its best. And what has industrial agriculture done to the food supply in this country? They've turned it into a potential weapon where if we had the standard model that we had for many, many years in this country, from the founding of the colonies to probably the 1960s, where we had thousands and thousands of family-owned farms. So to use the food as a weapon, you really couldn't do it because you couldn't get a handle on it. Nobody could get their hands on it. But industrial agriculture has centralized food production, foods, and food distribution. They've centralized it. And we're kind of going the other way because we see that they will use it on you. Why? Because they hate us? I don't think so. They're just going to use it on you so they can, well, there ain't no macaroni and cheese. And when it comes back in the store, it's $1 more a box or whatever. And they're looking at each other in the boardrooms like, hey, I'm going to get that third summer home that I've been wanting. That's what they do. It's all about money and power. I don't think they necessarily hate us. They kind of farm us. I think they have contempt for us, especially when we are able to turn our backs on them. And well, I don't really need you. It's hard to get a reaction out of the guy at Walmart when he says you can't come in unless you have the face mask on, and you say, well, I don't really need to come in here anyway. He doesn't care. He's just a puke, that's paid minimum wage. And, he couldn't stock shelves because he's too short and old. So they made him a Walmart greeter. And don't tell me, Andy Zumwalt, that you're working at Walmart now. I don't want to know that. Crew chiefs shouldn't do that. So keeping it real. Okay. Let me read some of these comments. That's my thing. I don't want this to get so far out where it's just a TikTok show, of articles and all these things. As a homesteader, you should be growing stuff. And you need to be proficient at knowing how the stuff on your homestead works. So then you're fixing stuff, which means if it's super high tech and you can't do that, then don't do that. Do stuff that's lower tech. I highly recommend the book 80 Acres. And the reason I find it such a good book is because the man who built this farm, his name was Ben Brinks. I live on the Brinks Road. His buddy was Jess Yeager, and he is the farmer that the book 80 Acres is written about. Their family life centering around their 80 acres. And the book was written, probably in 1980, but the man who wrote it was born on the farm in 1920 or thereabouts. And I guess he's passed away now. I guess all of them are gone. All of the kids are gone. Really interesting story about that, though. The other day, this is crazy. The other day, a pickup truck pulls up into the driveway, and this old fella gets out, and he starts walking down the driveway, and I know him. He's the township supervisor, and he's coming down the driveway, and he's an old guy. He's 82. I didn't want to start. I like him. I like him a lot, and but I do have kind of a problem with somebody just wandering onto my property because they see a new roof and they got to check it out. But I didn't want to start anything with him, and it was no point. And so he says, "Well, I saw a new roof, and I thought I better check into it a little bit." And so I was nice to him and stuff. And he says, "Oh, you don't have walls on it and stuff. It's just a hay storage." And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Oh, well, no big deal." And I said to him, "Hey, Dave, uh, I want to show you our milk parlor because the the way that it, you know, we're revitalizing the barn. We're going to use the barn the way it was designed by Ben." And so I take him in there, and he's looking around, and he says, "Yeah, Uncle Ben, he really liked." And I said, "Uncle Ben, he's related to you?" And he says, "Well, sure." And then he goes through the family tree, and I find out that Ben Brinks that built this place, his he just they're all related around here. So it turns out Dave had read the book 80 Acres. Everybody around here has. And I said to him, "Have you got any pictures of this man? Because I would like to see what he looks like, because I walk in his footsteps every day. The fields that he cleared out here, I'm farming. Like, I didn't clear those fields. I didn't get those stumps off there. That was man's work out there. Not that I'm not a man, but like, I'm not pulling stumps that are 4 feet across. He was. Like, I wouldn't even know how to do that. So I'm standing on his shoulders, farming this property here. And he built this house. He built the barn that we're working in. So it was quite interesting, you know. Anyway, the advantages that I have gotten in this homestead and being as successful as we are. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we've been totally successful. We've been so successful. You know, I I'm not that's not what I'm saying. We've we've gotten into processes. We've taken on processes that we thought we wanted to do and failed and failed and failed. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's a flicker of success here, and then another flicker, and then and then whoa, and then we've got some success. But we've done that a number of times. Now, when I try something new, if it fails, and you know, it's okay. It's okay, because I go through the failure process, and I'm able to pull it apart and say, well, I shouldn't have done that part of it, and I shouldn't have done that, and I probably should have done it differently like this. And then the next time I do it, it's less screwed up than it was the first time. And then maybe the third time it's acceptable. A lot of people who have come to this farm and been inspired by what they see here might get the idea that, well, he's just got the golden touch. He just knows how to do this. He must have gone to college to learn how to do this. Well, I can assure you, I didn't go to college to learn how to do this. It's trial and error and just being my own mentor. You don't want to listen to people who don't have the power. All right. So the first thing I want to ask when somebody's telling me about how to do something is, now you do this? Well, no, I don't do it, but I used to hang out with a guy whose dad did it, and I hung out over their farm all the time. And oh, okay. Well, now I get it. Now I get it. So I don't want to listen to you, right? Having a conversation the other day with my daughter about something. Let's see. Should I go into this? No, I better not. I better not. But a lot of time, yeah, yeah, I will a little bit, a little bit. A lot of times, like in the pastoring world, and I'm not throwing stones at all pastors. I know a guy that, oh, pastors, I hate them all. I know a guy. He's dead now, but yeah, I'd never heard that before. But I was on the other extreme. If a guy was a pastor, well, I thought, okay, whatever comes out of his mouth, he knows what he's talking about because he's got that stamp. He's a certified pastor, right? And so, and and I was really taken aback when all of a sudden I had this one pastor who here, when we moved here, that said something to me that was way off, having to do with, uh, my attendance at that church, you know. Um, anyway, and what it did, it painted every person, every male in a certain light of distrust and unreliability and stuff. And if my wife was keeping an eye on me, then it would be okay. He did that with everybody. And I thought, wait a minute, this is not right. It's definitely not right. And so it started to kind of break the whole mold, the whole pastor mold. And I came at that institutional spirituality from the point of view of the Catholic Church, where uh, I went to Catholic high school, and if the priest came in, I mean, a bona fide priest, a real priest, a certified priest, a father so and so, usually going to be a father oh something, Irish Catholic. I was. We would actually have to bounce out of our chairs and say in unison, I kid you not, "Good afternoon, Father O'Brien." The whole class. Creepy, really creepy when you look back on it. But from the time you're a little kid in in catechism, and Father so and so comes in, the nuns would teach you, and they'd be up there with a ruler or a piece of re-rod, more like, and you would just bounce out of your chair. "Good afternoon, Father O'Brien." It was really a Father O'Brien, good guy too. I nothing against those guys, but the way we were taught was like these guys talked directly to God, and as a little kid, it's like, yeah, but I can't. If I sin, I got to go into this little cubicle. I'll tell him, and then he'll go to God and say, "Is it okay?" And then he'll come back and say, "Your sins are forgiven." That's what we were taught as Catholics. And so I think I carried a lot of that over into like mainstream Protestantism, like a pastor. I equated the two. And, anyway. So I was trying to tell my daughter, just because this guy is a pastor doesn't mean that his decisions are going to be good. So you have to think about the direction that you're getting and like, is that safe? Is it a safe thing to do? And just because some pastor says, well, you don't want to live in fear. I love that one. You don't want to live in fear. So don't wear your seatbelts. Don't worry about it. I just see if you get pulled over in the state of Michigan for no seatbelt on. And you tell some like 30-year-old state policeman, well, officer, I don't want to live in fear. I'm a very spiritual man. I don't want to live in fear. Say, here you go, sign this ticket, right? $50 ticket for no, or I think it's more than that. It's probably 150 now. Who knows? You don't want to live in fear. I love that one. You can almost get them to say it, right? You can almost, it's like there should be a board game, how to get Christians to say things, right? Yeah, it's pretty funny. Um, so we had a thing here recently. I'll just share this a little bit. Um, uh, yeah, I'm gonna. What the hell? Because to me, and Andy, you relate to this, and some of our other military people in this, that we are taught as military people to err on the side of safety, right? Err on the side of safety. If there is a dangerous situation, move to safety. Move to safety. I will always move my family to safety. I won't say, well, God's in control, so move to more danger. I won't do that. You won't find me at a Black Lives Matter protest. You won't find me there, or a protest for Israel, or a protest for something. You will not find me there with my family. You won't. I won't be like, hey, kids, let's go to this Palestinian protest. This should be fun. You won't find me there. I will move away from that because safety is very important, right? So there was going to be this march here in Michigan at the state capitol for right to life. Right now, the state capitol is about 45 minutes from Dearborn, Michigan, which has the highest concentration of pro-Palestine people, and they had already gotten notification from their hierarchy that we maybe have to strike back at America. And so they are, there's a threat of terrorism. And if you're a terrorist, you're looking for, number one, a soft target, one that's not going to resist very much because you want to get out of there. And you want a high concentration of bodies. And the nature of terrorism is you want to create the most extreme reaction, right? So a right to life march is going to have a bunch of women and children, right? They're not going to be marching with their AR-15s. There was going to be no additional security, right? And there was going to be a whole bunch of them just marching along with their signs, right? Good on them. Good on them. But you sure are making a big fat target of yourselves, right? So me, as the head of household, my daughter wanted to go, 18, and she still lives in the house, so she's under my command and control. And so she came and said, "Is it okay if I go to this?" And I said, normally it would be, but not now. Not now. I could not, in good conscience, say, yeah, go ahead. Chances are everything will be okay. Because you actually do that as a father anyway. Oh, I would like to go to drive into town and get some ice cream with the boys. In my mind, it's like there's a percentage of a chance that something could go wrong. A drunk driver, anything like that. It's always there. But you say, okay, begrudgingly. I mean, because you can't just keep your kids home. But and every time they go out, there's a potential problem. And that is relatively benign, the potential of something like that. But if the ice cream shop was in a section of town where they regularly have like Black Lives Matter protests, and my daughter says, "Can I go?" I would say, "Well, no, that's not that's the percentage of danger is higher much higher than I'm willing to, it exceeds the threshold of what I'm willing to risk in your young life. And that doesn't have to be very high, you know. Uh, and it got thrown back at me like, uh, well, I'm not going to live in fear. You can't have her living in fear. Don't teach her to live in fear. It has nothing to do with fear. It has everything to do with precautions. And I'm taking precautions, and it looks like that's a big fat target, and I don't want you there to become a number, right? So I said, no, no, this time. And I also used it as a teachable moment. I said, look, um, I don't want these older people that are, professional church people convince you to take stupid risks and then just say, well, God's in control. So you're tempting and then throwing it on God. You're taking a stupid risk and then you're going to throw it on God. Like, you don't wear your seatbelt and you wind up going through the windshield in a relatively small accident, and you say, well, I don't want to live in fear. I thought God was in control. How come I went through the windshield? Well, he's probably saying, because you didn't put your stupid seatbelt on, you jerk. That's why. Don't tempt me like that. So I don't know how that ties into homesteading, but I did go down that road. It was a bit of a time going through that, and there are still people that think that I'm living in fear, and it's not fear, it's precaution. I'm charged with the safety of these people, and I'm not going to send them into a hostile environment and just say, well, God's in control. We had that happen. I was down in Bolivia, and we were building a church building, and it was like 20 people, and about half of them were under 18, and they had to get us to the job site every day, and so they hired vehicles, and two of the vehicles were vans, and two of the vehicles were pickup trucks. And of course, all the kids wanted to ride in the back of the pickup trucks. And we had to drive through Santa Cruz. And if you've ever been to South America, there's no such thing as traffic lights or traffic laws, or there's no police cruisers going around. Every car is beat up, and, they drive crazy. They drive with their horns. And you don't want a child in the back of a pickup in an environment like that. It's just, you might as well have the kid riding on the front bumper. It's very unsafe. Yeah, it could be unsafe inside the vehicle too, but it's really unsafe if they're in the back of the pickup. If the thing gets hit, kids would get thrown out, and then they could get run over by other cars, and people would just keep going. You run over a kid or something like that, they just keep going. They don't. And so I said something to the pastor's wife. I said, hey, this isn't a good idea. She's quite a bit older than me. And I thought she would see it my way. Like, obviously, this is not a good idea. And she hit me with the old, "What, don't you have any faith? God's in control." She hit me with that. And I was down there for probably 20 days or so on this trip that I went on with these people. And I knew all these people good, but I didn't have a comeback to her. I was just like, oh, okay. My son was with me, and my friend's daughter was with me, and she was like 17, and they said, yeah, you keep an eye on her. All right. And so I went to her and I said, hey, don't be riding in the back of that pickup. And she felt really put out that I said that. But how could I tell her parents I'm looking after her, and I let her ride in the back of a pickup in Santa Cruz? It just didn't make any sense. And my son too. So I said, well, for us, we're not going to ride back there. We're going to ride in a safer environment, right? And all through that time, I got to thinking about that, like that whole the Lord's in control thing is like, seems like that's what people say when they want to do something that they know they probably shouldn't. And they say, well, it's not my problem. It's his problem. And I didn't like that. And I don't hold with that anymore. I think we have a responsibility to do things safely. If we see danger, we have a responsibility to move back from that and then make the situation safe so that nobody gets hurt, right? You can't just say, well, the Lord's, you can't do that. And I have heard that, and it seems like that's one of the things that comes out of, the certified professional Christianity. And I don't know why it's so on the tip of everyone's tongue. Maybe somebody can tell me in here. Dave Duncan, you're a professional man of God, so maybe you could tell me about that. I don't know. I really struggle with that. Let's see. I'm going to read from the okay, well, here we go. Well, Dave, he backs me up. All right, where you been? As a pastor, I can't stand that mentality. God gave us a brain for a reason. Yeah. Can't disagree with much of that. It says the ghost, the ghost, you for 80 acres up here right now. Wow. Really? Green enough. Oh, maybe. Maybe I should start up here and read my way down. Okay. This was a pretty cool situation. Whoa. Okay. The Crunchy Mama showed up and complimented my rail. Right on, man. Right on. I understand that you donated to that kill floor. I appreciate that. That was pretty cool of you to do that. And I have your cleaver that you gave me proudly displayed. I'll have to show that. David Duncan says that protein on the hoof is more valuable than the dollar. Yeah, I feel that way. I feel that way, especially if you can keep them stable out in the field. So grazing is a really good thing. If they're stable out there and you're not paying to keep them on the hoof and you have the ability to, at kind of a moment's notice, just drive out there with a gun and bang, bring them in, get them harvested. I agree totally there. Grass-fed beef here is $8 a pound. Are you talking ground beef? Must be. Brittany is asking, Mark, are you still on the carnivore diet? Yeah, as of last night. See, I was on it for about 4 months, just nothing but. And I even may have said on here that I'm never going back to eating anything else. And then the garden came in, in the summertime, and it's like, there's no way I can't have corn on the cob. There's no way. And so when I did that, then I had potatoes and I had green beans and all that stuff. And I tolerated it really well. When I went on the carnivore diet, it was because Sean Baker, I was going to be interviewed on his show. And so I listened to it. It was the Meat RX. Now it's called Revero, and I haven't listened to it in years, right? But it's the carnivore, a lot of, they do a lot of testimonials on there, and people say that, oh, I was so stoved up. I couldn't even get out of my chair without my husband to help me. And then I went on a carnivore diet. Now I'm doing cartwheels and all this. And some of what I heard there was stuff that I had going on. And I just thought, well, that's, being 60. And but I was cutting a beef at the time. And I said, I'm going to give it a try. And I did it right then. I mean, I cut a steak off of this beef that I was cutting up. I threw it in the pan down in the butcher shop, And I stood there and I ate it. And I thought, this feels right. And I did it for 4 months. After about day 4, I was sick as a dog. Thought I had the Wu flu. It really wasn't. It was just from the detox that was going on. And I think about day 6, I took this massive dump. It looked like a piece of leather, all stuffed in a glass tube that had been in there for about 3 years, right? It was terrible, but that's what happened. And then I kind of went back on regular diet, but I cut out a lot of the stuff. Like it used to be before, if I went someplace, a potluck or something, and there was macaroni and cheese, it'd be like, yeah, but Jill never buys it. We don't have it. We don't have junk food around here. But if I went someplace like a potluck, then I would eat whatever I wanted. And I always felt like, yeah, I can eat what I want. It wasn't a weight gain issue or anything like that. It was inflammation is what the problem was. And so when I swung the other way to eating poorly again, the inflammation came right back. And I won't say it was worse, but it was more pronounced, after having a body that moves well, uh, total mobility, no pain. The ringing in my ears was pretty bad, and to have that about cut in half, and to go to that after being stiff and all that stuff, it was pronounced. And then going back on junk food and having it come back. Oh no, I don't want that. So I'm kind of managing it now, and the other night, my daughter Rachel made a loaf of bread. And I thought, well, it's homemade. And Rachel made it. Let me show her how much I love her by having a big, thick piece with a whole bunch of Jersey butter on it. So I did that. The next day, I could hardly move my neck. It was so sore, right? Didn't sleep good. Had a hangover. Felt like I had about 4 cheap beers, terrible. So last night we got all of that beef, and I was just like, no, I'm just going to eat beef. So I ate beef last night, ate beef at lunch. When I get done here, I'm going to have 2 big honking hamburgers with kimchi, and that'll be it. And I'm going to feel good tomorrow. I felt great today. Okay. Andy says, and that is probably cull cows. Oh, really? Wow. For that $8. Well, cull cows get a bad rap. I think most people believe that a cow being a bovine female that has had a calf and maybe 4 calves. Oh, that's just an old cow. Not going to be any good. That's the best beef right there. By far the best beef. I know what I'm talking about. Okay, Crunchy. Brittany, how did Jonathan's beef harvest turn out? Jonathan was helped a neighbor out. A neighbor had a broke-leg cow, and Jonathan said, I can do it. And then I guess he contacted Crunchy down in Texas. Jonathan is in Minnesota, and Crunchy's in Texas. And Sean talked him through it, and I saw the pictures. Jonathan had it strung up and was going to it. Jonathan never came to any of our classes, but he went for it. He's from Minnesota. That's why. Definitely a learning experience, and wishing we had the correct cooler for the job and more time to hang, but a learning experience nonetheless. And we finally did a cow. Good for you. Good for you. It's empowering, isn't it? Now you've done the thing. You have the power. It was a pain. Nothing worth a damn is easy, right? All the things that we've done, the hardest things are the best. Okay. All right. Brittany Pierce, thank you again for helping guide John through it. It was very much appreciated. Kentucky Patriot 1630. Trickery is a big deal in the Iranian culture. FYI, they are here. Yeah. Yeah. But I think we'll see. We'll see. But I wonder if all of the rhetoric that came out of Iran, because we heard it too, we heard it too. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, if you were Netanyahu, you've heard them squawk for years. But are they going to put their money where their mouth is? All right. You guys you ready to go to war? You want to do that? Because the Israelis they're ready to go. They are ready to go. And I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight, honestly. I think what the Palestinians did was crummy, really crummy. I mean, ultra crummy. And I tell you what, if I was an Israeli GI, I wouldn't forget that one. You want me to now you want me to be restrained. I see. Oh, okay, I see how that is. So the whole conversation is really stupid. It's really stupid. But I don't have a dog in the fight. Whatever happens. You can pick a team, but like the World Series last year, I don't know who won because I didn't care. And in this case, I don't know. It's their thing, By me picking a side, does it change a damn thing? No, it doesn't. And I don't see the point of it. I mean, all people have kind of a nature, and you can see, like the people that are here in Michigan. There's lots of them in Hamtramck and Dearborn. It's the highest concentration of people from that Arab people in the United States, and they get pretty fired up, but they forget about it. They'll always have that hatred there. But are they going to do anything? Are they going to venture out here into Indian country? I don't know. I mean, they moved to this country for the things that this country offers as far as material gain. Are they going to want to, avenge their brethren in Palestine? They might march and stuff, but I don't know as they're actually going to do it. That's just kind of how they are. But I don't. Okay. Tennessee Patriot, they want to kill us. Tennessee Patriot says gone from 90 plus species of apples in America down to about 8 now. I mean, I don't know, man. Does this do any good? All right, that may be true. So can we turn that around? I think we can. Okay. Green enough. You must have inhaled that Wagyu. That was a big boy. Inhaled that Wagyu. The one I had here. Were you here and saw that one? Yeah, he's long gone. Can't disagree. Okay. Okay, David Duncan, who is a pastor, actually says, God protects the faithful who do not ride in the back of pickup trucks. Okay. Safety, safety, safety. Life is not to get dead, is why I prep, learn, and train. Yeah, prepping is it's preparation, right? Of course, you're preparing. And I say that of course we're preppers. We're always prepping for the next season. And what happens in that season, storms happen. So you prep for it, you prepare for it. And if you can and you don't, what's on you then? It's on you. You could have. And there's things that I knew I should have been ready for, but I said, I don't have time to do that. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm not going to do it. And then when it goes south, well, it's on me. It's on me. All right, Brian Jacob, 2.5 years carnivore. And he was a big fat guy, wasn't he? I actually don't remember you fat. I don't. Tennessee Patriot. Obama gave them plane loads of dollars. Obama, he was a beauty, wasn't he? Okay. There's a lot more to this than just the Middle East. Those carrier groups aren't here for just that. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that you never want to appear to be a soft target. And don't be a soft target. No one's. I don't think you want to start assuming that somebody else is looking out for you. I don't think you want to do that. So just, and this is a really easy way to go. Assume that you are on your own, and then you start to, it sure would be nice if me and my neighbors were friends, because then there's two of us, and it sure would be nice if, and when your facilities are hardened, you harden your facilities, which I'm not talking about, bricking up your front door and sandbagging the inside of the house. I'm not really talking about that. I'm talking about pulling away from the propagators of misinformation. Pull away from them and deal in the real world. Like when I go to bed tonight, I'm not going to think about Obama and all the money, the pallet loads of money that he sent over to. I'm not going to think about that because I can't do anything about it. All that does is it demoralizes me to think about that. Which, is it true? You don't know. You don't know. It's such an outlandish story, but you don't know. None of us do. I mean, these things make it into the mainstream media and they'll float them a couple of times. And did you hear that? Did you hear that? Hunter Biden slept with a prostitute. Did you hear that? We don't know. It's just a show. I mean, the whole thing is just a show to keep us entertained. And the best thing to do is not participate, or participate at a level that is sort of like watching a series of something on Netflix, like Downton Abbey. Get yourself Netflix or PBS, and then tune in to Downton Abbey, right? And watch one every other day. And then at the dinner table, you're like, oh, I wonder what Lady Mary's gonna do now. Is she gonna divorce him? This is terrible. No, you don't take it. It's a show. It's a show. And I think this is the same thing. I mean, there's so much weird stuff. There's so much weirdness. So I can't. I kind of go with what Spirko said. Uh, Jack Spirko, if you ever want to listen, he's got the survival podcast. I used to listen to him all the time. I even interviewed him. I think we interviewed him on our channel here. And did I interview him or he interviewed me? I know that. But he was talking about, he's Ukrainian, and like they have a point of view that's different than a lot of people. And he said, you know what America needs right now? A good solid dose of apathy, of I don't give a damn, right? Because they keep floating all these stories past you and you get, oh, that's terrible. Those damn guys, they keep doing stuff, and you get all your mental energy goes into that instead of you should be building right now. Evil is weak. Continue to build. As my good friend Owen Benjamin says, or Owen Smith, we're not friends, actually. I listen to Owen Benjamin. I do not know him. I don't want people to think that we're chums. I like him, and I'd gladly interview on his show and stuff, but I don't know him. I've kind of recommended him offhand to you all, but you got to listen to him for a long time to get through this, because he says stuff and you hear it and all of a sudden it's like, whoa. But I noticed today, I'm working on the southeast corner of my property, and I have no fences over there, obviously, so we don't spend any time over there. It's just kind of there, and the only time that I'm there is kind of passing through or hunting or just hiking around. But today I was working there, and so I was there the whole day, and you'd stop and kind of look at the sunset or look at the farm from down there, and I'm like, this is a totally different point of view of the farm. And when I look at it, I say, okay, I kind of know what goes on up there. I kind of have a better idea of what our thing is, what our mission is, what I am going to continue to do. And I came in and I actually told Jill. And she wrote it down. And it was right here on a sticky. But it's not here anymore. All right, well, it was pretty profound what I said, I must admit. Oh, there it is right here. It is the farm, our farm, whenever we do a teaching here, we'll load everybody on the wagon and we'll go for a ride around, and we'll stop at different things and I'll explain what's going on. And I really enjoy doing that. And I think that if I was the one that was on that ride, that would be inspirational to me. So it's almost like a theme park. It's like a theme farm, the theme of this place. And so I said that building here is a functional theme park. And the purpose is to inspire. Because inspiration is huge. It really is. If you can move somebody off dead center and you inspire them and they say, yeah, you know what, I want to do that. It's almost like, and you might think I'm going out on a limb on this one. I got a different thing blinking at me here that I've not seen. But when you bring people into this homesteading world that we're doing, Keith S. just came up. Good example, too. Good example of an individual that I believe was inspired. And I'm not sure who inspired him exactly, but I think it had something to do with this farm. And me, probably. And he went from, uh, I don't know, kind of disabled and like, I can't do anything, to now the jack of all trades and nothing's holding him back. And I think he's going to live to 130. I wanted to live to 120. Excellent example of a guy that previously was finding it very hard to stay awake until noon, and now is volunteering his time out. And actually, I've been to his farm a few times, and he's gotten a lot done there. Every time I go there, there's big changes. So inspiration is like a wave. No, it's not like a wave. It could be like a wave, but it's more than that, because let's say one person gets inspired and they inspire 10 other people. And of those 10, there's one that inspires 100 people. You know, once you start this, hey, where the heck is Zilka anyway? I haven't seen him in a while. You start a spark, and it can turn into a forest fire. It can turn into an absolute forest fire. And like Justin Zilka is one that was inspired by this, and he's done, massive things. And I believe he's a very inspirational force in his neck of the woods. And I would reckon that Andy is too. And let's see who else on here. Keith, Brian, I know for sure. David, his clan. Ghost, I think you inspired Nancy, didn't you? Or was she in your neck of the woods? We haven't seen her in a while. Green enough, you're talking about the Wagyu, so you must have been here before. I don't recognize your handle. Andy for sure. Tennessee Patriot. Yeah, I don't know if they want to kill us. They need us. Crunchy for sure, inspiring. The state of Texas knows Crunchy Mama. They are doing a lot of the same things that we're doing, or similar, teaching classes and stuff. The clerics, it goes without saying, they've really hit a grand slam at that place. And just through sheer willpower, just sheer willpower. And at the same time juggling a whole bunch of kids and having babies. And so, yeah. Don't know Bob the Knob, I don't think. Inga's been around for a while. She works for the kiddos at or works with the kiddos at Hidden Creek, I think. Emily, from the pictures, have really done a turnaround and gotten a new thing going. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. What sign are you, Emily? Okay, that's about it. We're out of here. Belva, they've done a lot. And it's Dion, too. Big inspirations down in their neck of the woods. And Belva, I would reckon so, because they've done so much work on their farm. But we don't talk much about your interaction with other folks. Wow, it's getting to be 9:50. How about that? Okay, tomorrow night we are, for Tribe Plus members, we're going to have our consulting call at 8:00. It's a Zoom call, and you will get a notification. A lot of you folks are Tribe Plus members, but have not come to the consulting call. Now, this is a chance for us to get together on a Zoom call, so we're all face to face, and you can ask me any questions you want, and we can talk back and forth. It's scheduled for an hour, but we'll go as long as you want. And along the lines of the Tribe Plus, if you are a Tribe Plus member, you get a significant discount from Hyzea Boot Company. Hyzea. And I'm going to show you this because I put these on every morning, and we're into it about a month, and it's HIES. Wait a minute. HISEA. HISEA. Probably Chinese. I don't know, but what isn't Chinese anymore? But I'm wearing these boots now for about a month. And you're putting them on every day. So I get to look at them. And once I slip into them, I'm thinking, are these good boots? And so far, I'm saying, yes, they are good boots. They were $70. And I go through a pair of boots. I know I've told you about a year, but it's not that good. I don't get that. I don't get a year out of a pair of boots. I'm probably wearing them a lot longer than I should. But these, I think they look pretty good for this style of boot. And this is kind of the style of boot that I'm kind of into these days. I don't want something that I have to lace up to my knee. It doesn't do me any good. But yeah, I like these. I've been wearing a boot like this that was made by Carhartt. And I was at Family Farm and Fleet the other day. That's where I've been getting them. Just because they work and they fit me good, and I don't know, they seem like a decent boot. I don't do steel toes, but they were $169. 169. These 70. And I actually like these better. And I know you look at the tongue on them; they all kind of look the same. It's got that Chinese look to it. But these have two of these hooks here, where the other ones only have one hook. And so you can't just slide in. I had to work at it to get into them. And I didn't really like that as much as these. I mean, these, I can step in these literally without even bending over to, with my hands at all. I'm just stepping in them. And so far, I mean, these are better. Now we'll see when we get to 6 months if they're blowing out the side or anything like that. But it doesn't look to me like we're going to have a problem. Everything seems to be holding together. And I've gotten them wet a bunch. I wear these butchering, and they've. I don't baby work boots. I just don't. If they get wet, they get wet. And then I just set them by the wood stove. The next morning, they're dry. And I expect to get 6 months out of them. I'm on track to do better than that with these, but at $70, I can afford to go 6 months, and I'll be in good shape. And I don't know if I'm wearing boots that don't fit me right or don't make me stand right. My back can ache, but I don't have any of that with these. I actually like them. That's one of the perks of being in the tribe. The other one is probably the main perk is one-on-one access to moi. I would think. That's how I know Bill O'Reilly. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, yeah, tomorrow's hunting. My boys will be hunting tomorrow. Don't think I will. I say I go hunt, but I don't. All right. Great. Tennessee. Okay. All right. We'll see everybody. Remember, anyone can farm, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Au revoir.